how do you actually get the kids interested in learning whatever that you have to offer to them? I believe the only thing that's missing with teachers is hooking the students on and making them interested in the topic that you want to teach them. So the secret is how to hook the students. Usually the if you want the kids to be interested, you have to find a common thing between them that they like. You need to get to know the students, to know their interests, not only that, their backgrounds, because everything they're going to learn is basically connected to their real lives and the experiences that they went through. If you don't have this connection with the kids, you will never be able to make those connections, and it will not resonate with students. I'll give you an example. The other day in science, because you're scientists, and in science, so I was teaching them about matter. And in order for me to hook them, I was asking the students, we went on a nature walk, and I wanted them to look about how everything in this world is made of, to take a look. And it was something that they really enjoyed. So we talked about many things. They went to the extent of telling me what's there in the nature, the dirt. They know how to label things, and then all of a sudden these questions started to pop up, like, what is the sky made of? How is it blue? How come this rock is different than this one? Where does dirt come from? So all of these questions, just to find a way like to engage the students and make them want to learn, that's a really good and a door or an opening for them to. So always start with questions, students' inquiries. But the problem is that how do you get them to ask these questions? You really need to plan your lesson really well. Have them engaged in something, come up with the questions themselves, and then when you answer it, they would want to listen because they were actually the ones who asked these questions. So after that, when we went out on a nature walk, we introduced how the world is made of matter. We talked about the physical properties, and every now and then I would go back and I would tell them, you know what, you're going to go back home. Like we talked about solubility, for instance. And I want you to go to your mom's kitchen. And how about you ask her for all of the things that she uses in cooking, and bring cups of water, warm water, and try many different powders and see which ones are soluble, which ones are not. So let's connect it to their real life. Some of them will grow up to be cooks, so why not make them see how cooks or chefs use the properties in matter to actually cook things and become better chefs, and so on and so forth. We also talked about, one really nice example is when I was explaining to them about conductivity, whether electrical conductivity or thermal conductivity. And what I really like is that for other teachers to give the kids the opportunity to express themselves in a way that connects to their learning. Like, for example, one of the kids who always had a problem, he had this aha moment, and he says, that's why my water bottle always gets warm after a while. I can't keep it cold. And I'm like, okay, so now you know. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to change the matter? And he said, well, I can buy another water bottle that has this property, which is the non-conductivity, insolent. And I told him, well, since it's going to be a waste of money, how about you think of something else? So what's nice about Waldorf is that we have handwork. They teach them how to stitch. And for a whole month during the handwork class, he using stitches and knitting, he knitted a coat for his water bottle, and that's why he was able to keep the coldness inside this. So what teachers don't see is that it's nice when you make it real. It's nice when you try and make it connected to their real lives. It's nice when a kid asks you a question, don't answer it yourself. Re-ask that question. Just guide them. How can you find the answer yourself? Or can we at least brainstorm it? Maybe you can come up with the ideas without my help. This is how you actually teach them to become independent learners. At the end, before we move on into another unit, which is about forces, I told them, well, do you know that there's something called the dark matter? And they're like, what? And I'm like, you learned everything about the matter in this world. What about something that scientists refer to as dark matter? They're like, what's dark matter? And I'm like, well, I can't give you the answer, but it'll take months for me to. And we don't have time, so what are you gonna do about it? And then the next day, I got kids coming with these researches and things they got from Google, and they would ask me for websites because they couldn't. It was so scientific and so hard for them. So they were asking me, are there any websites that they can go back to? So I provided them with ones that are more appropriate for their age. And we started this whole new thing with the forces, this whole new thing about planets. So see where we extended just from Earth and we moved on into something more than that. And that took them into also dark energy, which is basically what we're going to go through now with forces. So I believe that in order for a teacher to teach students how to learn, a teacher should be a learner, him or herself, to see the joy in learning. A bored teacher cannot offer anything. A teacher who's always thirsty for learning is a true teacher, a true model for them to actually love the learning. If you hate it, then that's just what you're gonna reflect on your kids. One of the things to create motivation in learning is causing tension, especially when the ones that come with social studies is when you want to cause tension to create certain feelings to get them actually want to know and know why did I go. For instance, I was asked by my coordinator to teach them a whole unit about immigration. And I thought, what are the things that are going to motivate them? So I started researching about things around the world, and it seemed a little bit complicated and dry. And not all kids relate to that. If they don't relate to that, then how are they going to get interested? So that's the point when we say, how do we get the kids motivated? So I found a really nice, interesting information about birds migration. I know some kids like animals, so I thought maybe if I can start it this way. And that's 1 year where I started with the birds migration and the reasons behind their migration, and then we connected it to why people need to migrate and so on and so forth to immigrate. The year after, the kids were not that interested in animals. So I thought, I came up with a really nice idea of how to make them feel the same feelings that immigrants have, especially the ones who are coerced to leave their countries and so on and so forth. So one day my kids came and I managed to agree with another class. My kids came, they couldn't find their desks in their classroom. Nothing, no desks, no books, no nothing. So they just came in and they're like, well, Ms. Noor, what's going on? And I'm like, well, as you can see, we have a problem here. This is not your classroom anymore, and because we don't have another classroom for you, you're going to have to move. You're going to have to share the other classroom with that other class. What they don't know is the day before I went to that other class and I told them, some of you are going to be nice to them and you're going to say, well, you can sit next to me. And some of you, I want you to pretend that you do not want them here, and I don't want you to make them feel welcomed. Some of you, you would offer pencils and to share books Some of you, please don't do that. So when my kids went over there and I said, well, you're going to, and here's your new teacher, and just go in. And they went in, and oh my God, it was such a stressful day for them. Some of them were happy to be there. Some of them were crying. Some of them were, we just want to go home. And then afterwards, when the day finished, they came back. They found the tables back and the chairs and everything. And I had them in a circle. And I was telling them, well, how do you feel? And some of them shared their feelings. And I told them, well, do you know that some people actually feel these things when they leave their countries? And they're like, okay, now we get it. Okay, now we get it. And from there, I promise you, from the minute we started this tension until we finished that unit, the kids gave their hearts and souls because they were able to experience these feelings, experience what immigration. If you just give it as an abstract, they will not understand it. You need to cause that tension. You need to make them feel the empathy in order for them to know and to study what to expect and why things happen the way they do. I believe that the teacher's job is really hard, the hardest job in the world. And I believe that if teachers can see that we are bringing either failures into the future or successful people into the future, that's a huge responsibility. You really need to know whether you want to pursue a job in teaching or not. And if you want to pursue your job in teaching, then you have to know that you're not only giving a syllabus, you're not only teaching a book, you are creating a generation that needs to be kind, that needs to be caring with each other, needs to be independent learners, lifelong learners. They need to know that even I, as a model, every time we learn something new, and I'm like, well, I never knew that. I learned it. I'm just like you. I'm still learning. There's always opportunity for learning, and there's nothing more enjoyable in life than learning something new. Because what are we here for in life, really? Is it just a race, or is it just? It's in us. We're curious beings. We want to know. It's in our nature. So if we don't encourage that, then we're actually telling them to be the opposite of what they're supposed to be.